thank you for everyone for being here and joining, or for some of you that may be rejoining since this is a rescheduled event. We're really lucky today to have Damian. He's the creator, if you don't know him already, of Charles, the Bubble Chrome extension builder. He also has a Bubble Chrome extension crash course. So really, if you're in the bubble space or the extension space, Damian's a wealth of knowledge. We're super lucky to have him today. Without further ado, I'll pass it over to Damian and let him get going. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Art. Much appreciated. Welcome, everyone. As Art said, if you have questions, please put them in the chat or let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to cover any topic that you might interest you, because at the end of the day, I want to make this as valuable for all of you as possible. So, if there's things you want to know, you want me to cover, feel free to tell me, and I'll try to dial it in. So, and by the way, Art mentioning the Chrome extension course. There's actually good news. Last week, I decided to give this away for free now. So the full course is available for free. No strings attached at all. I'll talk about this later again and where to find it. So let's talk about Chrome extensions. And before we start, obviously the topic today is building Chrome extensions with no code, more specifically using Bubble. But first of all, I also like to cover just a few seconds, like, hey, what are Chrome extensions essentially, like, and why would you want to build a Chrome extension? Because ultimately, there's a lot of hype, I think, in the last 1 or 2 years, especially now with AI, again, around Chrome extensions. But I just want to take a step back and, talk about what types of Chrome extensions there are. So we're going to start with that. What types of Chrome extensions are there? I'm going to talk about, hey, can you build it with no code? What can't you build? Then we talk a bit more technical about the anatomy of a Chrome extension. So what is it, what is it not? And then I'll show you a few examples of things that have been built with Bubble and how they look below the hood. I hope that makes sense. As said, if you want me to cover something else, let me know. So heading over to the Chrome Web Store to kind of look into the question, what types of Chrome extensions are there? And if you look at this, like here on the left, we have kind of categories of different Chrome extensions, and you see there's productivity things, there's things around lifestyle. And if you dive deeper on that, there's literally an endless amount of different Chrome extensions. From a business point of view, there are two main reasons why you would want to have a Chrome extension. The first one is your tool requires to be in somebody's browser. So for example, if you have Chrome extension, or if you have a service that translates things, right? It's nice to have a page where people can enter text and you translate it for them when they're on the page, but it's nicer if you do it in their browser where they work, right? They can integrate, they can see all the content, and it can translate things while they go. Or if you, for example, have a summarization service, right? For example, here we see Monica, it's now one AI assistant, right? That's nice if you have a web page, but it's also nice, for example, if you do summaries, and I'll show you an example of this later, if you can show a summary directly in the browser, because again, I can see the content, I can summarize it right there. It makes it just much easier to integrate your tools, whatever they are, right into the workflow of somebody, because these days, most software that people use comes in the form of SaaS. So they work in their browser. Most kind of knowledge workers work in their browser all day long. And in the browser is where the Chrome extensions are. So you kind of can much see this offering or whatever you want to do. And the second one, there's a few more reasons, but one is really kind of, be where the users are. And then the other ones are, of course, things like you might want to have different channels, right? Because depending on what your app is and what your service is, for some people it's a mobile app, for some people they just prefer having something in their browser. You want to have as much channels as possible these days. And there are a few other reasons, but just to summarize, the main difference between any app or an app that lives on a website, a SaaS product, and a Chrome extension is that the Chrome extension is able to interact with the browser. So it can read what the user is doing, it can interact with web pages, right? And the Chrome extension is able to change a web page. It's able to create bookmarks. It's able to look at metadata. It's able to scrape things from a website, right? If you want to have something that, for example, on Amazon, if you want to, if a product that kind of helps people select better products for dropshipping, right? You want to be again, integrated in the browser. So there's a couple of reasons why you want to do that. So now the question backs, okay, you want to do that, how do you go building a Chrome extension? And in the past, Chrome extensions have been built mainly using JavaScript and a few other frameworks, but essentially pretty much built on JavaScript and a few frameworks that live on top of that. And in the past, this has been the only way to create Chrome extensions. And now, obviously, the question then arrived, hey, now we have no code, we have Bubble, we're able to build really cool apps, but if I want to have a Chrome extension on top of that, do I need to start from scratch? Or can I somehow use my existing Bubble infrastructure to build that? And these days, the answer is clearly yes, you can do that. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, and also it's pretty powerful. Just going to give you a few examples of what you can build. So Basis Lab is essentially a Chrome extension that to copy and paste elements in Bubble, so kind of a component library similar to Made with Frames, for the ones of you who know that. It's completely built on Bubble, over 1,000 users. We have AudioPen. I guess people who are more active on Twitter in the Bubble community have heard of AudioPen, which is a pretty cool app, completely built on Bubble. Again, Chrome extension, over 8,000 users, completely built on Bubble. Another thing, Better Legal, probably less known. Again, over 1,000 users. Again, completely built on Bubble. So before we dive into what a Chrome extension actually looks like from a kind of a more technical point of view, I wanted to talk about features because I mentioned a lot, a Chrome extension should be able to interact with a browser. And I'm going to give you a few examples here. So actually, let's add this one. So that's a thing I've built. That's actually the thing you can build when you download the course that I'm going to mention later. So if you're on any website, let's just go over to Bubble's blog. All right, let's take just some blog entry here. So all this does, when it opens up, it actually takes the contents of the page, it sends it to OpenAI, has it summarized, and then displays whatever comes back. And by the way, I just realized that, yeah, this is not going to work because I kind of I cleared out my API keys the other day, so I'm just going to fix this in a minute. But in the meantime, let me just something. So, for example, this extension here, right? You can see here, this is the extension. If I mark text here, I can definitely get all the text that is being marked. I can also get meta information like the tab infos here. So I see the page title, I see what URL is this. I can get text from elements, right? For example, the H1 title here, which is probably this one, how to craft. And there's a whole lot of things you can do. You can even take a screenshot and so on and so forth. So how all of this works is basically Chrome extensions essentially can do a wide variety of things. And pretty much what you can do in the world of Chrome extensions, you can also do in the world of Bubble these days. There's pretty much no limit on what you can do. There's a few things. For example, if you have a button, right? Still something that needs to be coded more specifically because it's very specifically designed. But any kind of more general action will be available in the available kind of solutions that help you build Chrome extensions. So in the case of Charles, which is a tool that I've built to build Chrome extensions with Bubble, I'll talk about this a bit later. There's kind of a list of the different things it can do in terms of interacting with the browser. So as I showed, you can get tab infos, you can get selected texts, and you can open different types of, there's different types of ways how to show your Bubble app. You can copy text, you can populate input fields. That's a pretty interesting one. For example, if you head over to ChatGPT, right? Let's say you wanted to build an application for ChatGPT. Let me just figure out how this input is named. You can see if we figure this out. I'm gonna go. Yeah, so here we go. So that's pretty simple. You could also then click, simulate a click on an element. Let's just see if this works. No, that doesn't. So what's this button? So, okay, it doesn't seem to be able to. Oh, here we go. That's longer. Okay, yeah. So you can populate an input field, you can slide a click, and now ChatGPT is doing things for us, right? Just going back You can capture screenshots, you can show alerts, you can open new URLs, you can change the extension icon here. So there's pretty much everything you can that you wanted to do, depending on the applications that you have. The only thing, as said, that's really hard to do, because it's very specific to kind of fiddle with a page. That you wanted to change the layout of a page or add elements, this can be done, but then you still need to resort back to JavaScript. Okay, so just give me maybe 5 seconds to go ahead and get my API key in order, because I really want to show you the GPT summarizer. In the meantime, if you have questions, let me know. I'll need about 20 seconds to fix this. The reason I want to show you this extension, I was taking the time, is because afterwards I want to show you how it actually works. Yeah, okay, that's a live demonstration effect, I won't. But nonetheless, let's look at it anyway. So you just imagine, once I click here, a summary appears. And I'll share a link to this after so you can test it yourself. We covered why would you want to build a Chrome extension? Can you build it with Bubble? And what are kind of the limits of what you can and cannot do? And now next, because I think it's important, I don't want to go too technical, but I think it's important to have a rough understanding on actually what's behind the scenes, right? So I'm going to share my other screen. If you look at the Chrome extension, it's basically just a bunch of files. At minimum, it's 3 or 4 files that you have in a Chrome extension. And if you want to follow me here for a quick second, there's something called the manifest, which is basically just what you have in Bubble, right? In your settings, where you say, define the name of the application, maybe a description, and so on and so forth. We define some icons here. So that's basically the Bubble settings page. We just define what is this application, what is it called, what are the icons, and what permissions does it have. So permissions in a sense of what type of information or actions can still allow to do on my browser. That's it. Then we have another file. That's the popup.js. The popup.js is basically the window that you see once the application opens. And in here, usually, in kind of a classical extension setting, you would have a lot of code. In here, what we have is simply the link to a Bubble application that we then open in popup.html within an iframe. So essentially, if you're familiar with the concept of wrapping for mobile, it's exactly the same. So we tell it, hey, instead of producing any type of content here, just go ahead, load my Bubble application. And then it does that. And then we need some way to communicate between essentially this Chrome and this, for example, again here with a few simple line of codes. And I'm not going to go into the details here, but what it's essentially doing is passing messages back and forth between our Bubble application and our Chrome extension. And think of the kind of window where we render the application as the middle layer. So essentially, if you go back to Bubble, right, we can on page load send just an event to our Chrome extension, say, hey, Chrome extension, want you to do something for me, for example, run this function or post this message. In this case, I'm just sending a simple message over to Chrome. Chrome essentially receives it here, does its thing, and its thing is basically getting the website content and then just sending it back to Bubble. And in Bubble here, I have another function that, when we receive something back, we send it to OpenAI, and this is the part that's currently not working because somehow my Bubble app is read-only, and I can't switch the API key, but essentially we do everything, the rest, sending things to OpenAI, displaying it here, and everything else we can do in Bubble. So think of the Chrome extension really just as a kind of gateway between your Bubble app and Chrome. And this is a pretty simple example, right? This extension can't do much. So it's pretty simple, there's like 32 lines of code here, a bunch of lines of code there. If you look now at the more sophisticated example here that I showed you before. So, Chrome extension like this. I hope you can see my screen here. I actually can go ahead and, again, work with selected text, get all these tab infos, take a screenshot, populate input fields. That's also the one we use for ChatGPT, right? Doing something like this becomes quite substantially more code. So this is how it looks there. Essentially same structure. We have the background.js, the pop-up, the manifest. However, if you look at the few supporting files with code, and there it becomes quite heavy. So, there's like 100 lines of code here. There's a couple hundred here, and the profile. So actually it becomes more complex, but it doesn't matter because this we can get out of the box now. And everything else we handle in Bubble, right? And in Bubble it's pretty easy to handle. At the end of the day, in the case of Charles, right, it comes with a plugin, lets you use simple actions, for example, here, right? So again, simple here, simple action to do a screenshot, right? So it becomes pretty modular, it becomes pretty simple. And having this, everything pre-set up allows you then to build Chrome extensions probably 100 times faster than if you would code everything from the beginning. Okay, so we covered why would you build Chrome extensions. We covered what can you do. Covered on a very, very high level how it works. Having said, if you're interested to know how this works in more detail, I have this course here, Bubble Chrome Extensions Crash Course, which is pretty much step-by-step guide of building this GPT summary extension that doesn't work now. But in the course when you go through it and hopefully get everything right, it does work. And it will give you pretty much a very good example of how all this message passing works. It's not necessarily difficult. It will take a bit of time to work through the code. Again, it's not much. And I can highly recommend doing that. It will give you a good foundation. All right. And with that, I'm actually pretty much through my prepared content. So more than happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Damian. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat now.
I mean, yes, whatever you can do in Bubble, right? Because ultimately, Bubble is pretty flexible. There's plugins for most of the larger LLMs directly in Bubble. Or you have the API builder in Bubble. So yes, you can definitely integrate any type of LLM with Bubble because ultimately it's flexible in its API architecture. And then again, anything that works in Bubble in the Chrome extension setting. That's enough because the only thing you need to do between Bubble and the website, the Chrome extension, is to probably get information from the website, which you can do easily. That's pretty simple to do. And then you do all the rest in Bubble. So yeah, you can definitely use any types of LLM, also kind of for generative AI models in, for example, picture or video. I'll do it.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions? All right, one from Ralph. Can I create an extension that pulls a LinkedIn profile information?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, so I guess the caveat here, let me share my screen again. I guess the caveat here is so there's two ways how to achieve this. So there's two things you can do. One is if you need simple profile information, you can basically go here, go to any LinkedIn profile, just go to mine here. Then you can use the selectors. Let's say, you want to have this about section here, right? If you know the selectors, that's usually pretty straightforward on most pages. Then sometimes gets quite good in kind of making things a bit more difficult. Let me just see. I mean, it just takes a bit more time trying to do this on the fly now. Okay, with this one, it's a bit difficult. Let's try this. Okay, let's say you want to have this text, right? There's an example. You can get any other text. It will just take more. If the page is open, you see, for example, here now, you get the H1. Here, my name, right? You want to have whatever is below here. If you can grab the selector. Let's just try with that one. Yeah, okay, that works as well. So you can get these things. The other approach that's a bit more scalable, probably, is to use this to get URL. And then if you go, for example, to Rapid API, there is a lot of different services that will pretty cheaply give you LinkedIn profile infos. If you look for LinkedIn here, let's try this, LinkedIn Data API. Because the question becomes of what do you want to build yourself and what is okay to pay maybe $100 a month for. For example, there's an endpoint, get profile infos, and here you will get, you basically just send like, you send the link, right? Where is it, or the username in that case, and you get back a lot of information about the profile, right? Including the different positions and so on and so forth. The way I would approach this now is to say, you know what, I'm using the Chrome extension just to get the username here. So this last part, I would probably then go ahead and use this to kind of fetch the data at the end of the day. And you see like here, $175 gives you, I guess, 100,000 requests, which is more than enough for most small businesses if you're starting out, right? Okay, what else?
Okay, awesome. Now we have Ralph. I'm glad that answered your question. That was super helpful, Damian. And another one from Con. Can we target specific elements on the page? And if we can we place an icon next to the element on the page? Clicking the icon will open a pop-up window.
Yeah, so you can definitely do this. It's not, again, here you will probably need to go code a bit. How it works, actually, let me just show you. Okay, for example, what I've done here now is injecting this button. So this is not the page. If we deactivate the extension, just to show you. If I deactivate this, so that's the extension, right? If you refresh, button's gone. And again, if the extension is live on this page, it will add this button. And now I just simply, used the kind of configuration for this button to be a floating thing here, but you could also, add it as kind of a button here in the HTML flow, or on a LinkedIn profile. You can add it here, whatever. And then you can definitely configure this here. You can definitely configure this and to open the extension. However, having said that, if you want to do this, you will definitely need some kind of very light JavaScript to get it done. Not this one, because, for example, in Charles, that's pre-prepared. You just need to change the URL where it shows. But if you want to have something more sophisticated, on a LinkedIn profile to show up here. Honestly, it's like 5 minutes of coding if you know what you're doing. Otherwise, ask ChatGPT and it will probably get it right.
Okay, awesome. Glad that helped, Con. Does anybody have any further questions? Yes, we can definitely share the link to the course. Damian does have Charles the Bubble Chrome extension builder, and he also has the Bubble Chrome extension crash course for everybody to check out. He'll drop the links here and now.
Yeah, so crash course, again, completely for free, no strings attached. So what it talks about is pretty much, again, where the building blocks of a Chrome extension, a bit more in detail on what we talked about today. Then we're going through the motions of building the Bubble app, setting up the Chrome extension, adding the message passing, so having kind of the Bubble and the Chrome extension communicate, and then add a bit more functionality to that. All of this together, it's roughly an hour.
Awesome. So an hour, and you guys can be creating stuff on Damian. Sweet. Well, thanks so much, Damian, for coming on. We really appreciate it. I definitely learned a lot. And of course, if you have any questions, you can send them to us. We'll relay them to Damian. And then we'll also share the Chrome extension as well as his course if anybody is interested in taking those. But yeah, thanks, Damian, for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Art. Thank you, everyone, for being here, taking the time.